Welcome to our deep dive today. This one's going to be especially interesting for folks like you, professors of philosophy and mathematics. And that's because we're tackling a topic that sits right at the intersection of your fields.
The quantum multiverse.
Exactly. The quantum multiverse.
And we're not just going to skim the surface here.
Yeah.
We're going deep.
Really deep.
Really deep into Dr. Fabio Di Bello's work
Yes.
on this mind-bending topic. His paper, The Quantum Multiverse, a revolution between physics and philosophy at the roots of existence.
It's remarkable.
It really is.
I mean, he doesn't just, rehash all the usual theories about the multiverse.
Right.
He really grapples with their inherent problems and then proposes something entirely new. And
that's what I found so fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, the multiverse is a popular topic.
it is.
But Dr. Di Bello seems to be pushing the conversation forward in a truly original direction.
Absolutely. He starts by acknowledging kind of the elephant in the room, so to speak.
The existing interpretations of the quantum multiverse, even the ones that are building on Everett's many worlds interpretation, they have some serious limitations.
Okay, so let's dive into those limitations. I know our listeners are familiar with the basics, but what specifically does Dr. Di Bello find problematic?
Well, he doesn't hold back. One of his primary critiques is this challenge of infinities within infinities.
No,
He argues that if every single quantum event spawns a new universe,
you're right.
we're dealing with just this unfathomable proliferation of realities.
Yeah.
This raises questions about the physical and mathematical coherence of a model like that.
Like, how can we even conceive of infinities nested within infinities?
Is it even possible?
And Dr. Di Bello, he doesn't just stop at the conceptual level.
Right.
He goes into the mathematical implications as well, right?
Exactly. He points out that while the mathematics of infinity has its place, when you try to apply it to a constantly multiplying multiverse,
Yeah.
it leads to paradoxes and inconsistencies.
So it sounds like Dr. Di Bello is calling for a more rigorous approach to the mathematics of the multiverse. That's something that moves beyond just saying infinity.
Exactly. He wants a mathematical model that's internally consistent
Yeah.
and that's capable of handling the complexities of a truly multiversal reality.
So does he think it's even possible, to mathematically model a multiverse given these limitations?
This is where his work gets really interesting.
Okay.
He argues that, yes, a coherent mathematical framework can exist, even if it doesn't rely on our traditional understanding of infinity. He draws parallels with the history of mathematics, pointing to concepts like complex numbers, non-Euclidean geometries. These were initially considered purely abstract,
Right.
even imaginary, but they later found real-world applications
In fields
through
like
physics and engineering.
So it's like saying the math can exist even before we grasp its physical implications.
Exactly.
So we could mathematically describe the multiverse even if we can't directly observe it.
That's precisely what he's suggesting.
That's a fascinating perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It shifts the focus from observation to pure mathematical reasoning.
Yes.
So what would such a model look like, according to Dr. Di Bello? Does he give us a specific framework?
He does. It's incredibly detailed.
As you might expect.
As you might expect. Complex. But let's try to distill the key elements.
No way.
He starts with the foundation of quantum formalism. That's the mathematical language we use to describe quantum systems.
Yeah.
He's interested in Schrodinger's equation and the expansion of the wave function into Hilbert space.
Okay, so he's essentially taking the existing mathematical tools
Right.
of quantum mechanics
Yeah.
and trying to adapt them to a multiversal scale.
Exactly.
What else?
He goes beyond standard quantum mechanics
Okay.
and draws on elements of inflationary cosmology, specifically the concept of eternal inflation.
Right, which suggests that our universe is just one bubble
Yes.
in a vast multiverse that's constantly generating new universes.
Exactly. And he uses this to explain the potential diversity
Right.
and the sheer number of universes that could exist.
And this is where things get really mind-boggling because he brings in string theory as well.
Absolutely.
Right.
He incorporates the string theory landscape, this idea that there could be a vast number of possible configurations for physical laws, each potentially giving rise to a distinct universe.
So he's combining elements of quantum mechanics, cosmology, and string theory,
All of it.
which are highly complex
But they are.
and abstract fields in themselves.
ambitious.
It's incredibly ambitious.
It is.
So how does he even manage this level of complexity?
Well, he proposes some very interesting mathematical tools.
Okay.
One that stands out is his use of advanced matrix mathematics.
Okay.
He sees matrices as a powerful way to represent systems that exist in multiple states or configurations simultaneously.
So instead of a single value,
Right.
you'd have a matrix representing a multitude of states,
Yes.
each corresponding to a different universe.
Yeah.
It's like a spreadsheet of reality.
Like a spreadsheet of reality. I like that.
And he doesn't stop there.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He also explores the application of differential geometry to define the structure of individual universes,
Okay.
suggesting that each universe could have its own unique geometry and topology, which would influence the physical laws within it.
Okay. I'm starting to see how his mathematical framework takes shape. But there's one element I haven't heard you mention yet. Entanglement. Does Dr. Di Bello address this at all?
He does.
Because, I mean, if we're talking about interconnected universes,
Right.
entanglement seems like a key concept.
Absolutely. He proposes this very intricate network of interconnected universes, all linked through this phenomenon of entanglement. It's almost as if the multiverse itself is one giant entangled system.
Wow.
And this is where his model gets really interesting. Instead of just accepting that kind of traditional view of entanglement,
Right.
he delves into non-local quantum interpretations.
Exploring this possibility of entanglement operating across these vast multiversal distances.
He's taking a concept that's already mind-bending at the quantum level and scaling it up to a cosmic level.
Yeah.
I'm really eager to hear more about how he reconciles entanglement with this mathematical framework, but I think this is a good point to pause. Let our listeners kind of digest everything we've covered so far. We'll be back shortly to explore the philosophical implications of Dr. Di Bello's work.
Sounds good. You know, it's striking about Dr. Di Bello's mathematical model. It's not just a set of equations.
There's more than that.
It's a framework, that forces us to really confront some profound philosophical questions.
That's what's so exciting about this deep dive.
Yeah.
We're not just, exploring theoretical physics.
Yeah.
We're really grappling with
The big questions.
the very nature of reality itself.
And Dr. Di Bello, he doesn't shy away from those deeper questions.
He doesn't.
He tackles them head on.
One of the most fundamental questions, I think, is about existence itself. I mean, if there are infinite versions of ourselves, right?
Right.
Living out every possible scenario,
Living out every possible life.
does that diminish the meaning
Yeah.
or the significance
Yeah.
of our own individual lives?
It's a question that's been debated for centuries, but Dr. Di Bello's work kind of throws a new light on it.
So how does he address this existential dilemma?
Well, he suggests that instead of seeing the multiverse as a threat
Okay.
to our individuality, we should view it as an affirmation
Okay.
of the richness of existence.
Interesting.
He argues that every possible path,
Right.
every choice
Now,
not made,
every potential life unlived.
it all exists somewhere
Wow.
within that vastness of the multiverse.
So it's a shift in perspective then.
It is.
Instead of feeling insignificant
Right.
in the face of all these infinite possibilities,
Yeah.
we should embrace the sheer vastness and diversity of existence.
Exactly.
And this leads Dr. Di Bello to explore this concept of identity
Yes.
in a multiverse.
In a multiverse.
This is where things get really interesting for me. I mean, if there are countless versions of me
Right.
scattered throughout the multiverse,
Right.
each making different choices,
Different lives.
living different lives,
Yeah.
what ties those versions together? What makes me in the face of all these infinite possibilities?
Yeah. It's a question that kind of strikes at the very core of what it means to be a self.
Right.
Dr. Di Bello proposes this very fascinating idea.
Okay.
He suggests that our identity isn't this fixed point,
Uh-huh.
but rather it's a thread that runs through all these different versions of ourselves. A kind of continuity of consciousness that persists across the multiverse.
So even though our alternate selves might be making different choices,
Yeah.
there's still a core me-ness
Yes.
that connects us all.
That's the essence of his argument.
That's a profound concept.
It is.
I mean, it really redefines our understanding of selfhood in this multiversal context.
Absolutely.
But it also raises questions about free will. I mean, if all possible choices are being made by our counterparts,
Yeah.
in other universes, do we really have agency
Right.
in our own lives?
This is where Dr. Di Bello's model really comes into play, particularly his use of branching timelines.
Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. He suggests that while all possible paths exist within the multiverse,
Yeah.
Our conscious experience is really confined to a single branch.
Okay.
From our perspective,
Oh.
we're still making choices
Yeah.
that shape our individual journey along that branch.
So it's not that our choices are predetermined,
Right.
but rather that all possible choices have already been made
By other versions of ourselves.
by our other self.
On other branches.
Okay.
That's one way to interpret it.
Right.
Dr. Di Bello really emphasizes that this doesn't negate the significance of our choices within our own branch of the multiverse.
So free will still operates within our own reality,
Yes.
even if it's playing out differently in other branches.
Precisely. And this brings us to another very intriguing aspect of Dr. Di Bello's work, his exploration of the epistemological implications of the multiverse.
This is something I've been grappling with.
Yeah.
I mean, if these other universes exist,
Yeah.
how can we possibly know anything about them? They're beyond our ability to observe
Right.
or interact with.
Dr. Di Bello acknowledges this challenge, but he offers a potential solution.
Okay.
He argues that just as we use mathematics to describe phenomena beyond our direct perception,
Okay.
like black holes or the early universe,
Right.
we can also use it to explore these hidden dimensions of the multiverse.
It's like using math as a sixth sense.
It is.
To perceive realms beyond our physical senses.
Exactly. Dr. Di Bello believes that the mathematical structure of the multiverse can exist independently of our ability to observe it.
Okay.
Just as the laws of geometry hold true, even if no perfect triangles exist in the physical world.
Yeah.
The mathematical principles governing the multiverse can be valid, even if we can't directly verify them.
So you're saying we can use math to not only describe, but also to gain knowledge
Yes.
about realms that are completely beyond our empirical reach.
That's exactly what he's saying.
That's a bold proposition.
It is.
And it leads Dr. Di Bello to advocate for a form of mathematical realism
Yes.
when it comes to the multiverse.
Mathematical realism.
Can you kind of elaborate on what he means by that?
Sure. He's essentially suggesting that the ultimate nature of reality might be mathematical.
Okay.
That the physical universe, including the multiverse, is just one particular manifestation of a deeper underlying mathematical structure.
So math is not just a tool for describing reality.
No.
It's the very foundation of reality itself.
That's the essence of his argument.
That's incredible.
And it has profound implications for how we understand the relationship between mathematics and physics.
And the nature of existence.
Exactly.
I mean, this is where the philosophical and scientific converge.
They do.
In a truly mind-bending way. Dr. Di Bello's work is challenging us to rethink some of our most fundamental assumptions about the universe and our place within it.
It is.
But there's one more area I'd like to explore before we wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Okay.
What about the ethical implications
Right.
of the multiverse? I mean, if every possible action is playing out somewhere, does that diminish the importance of moral choice in our own lives?
Well, Dr. Di Bello addresses this directly.
He does.
In his paper, he argues that while it's true that the multiverse, contains every possible permutation of choices and outcomes, that doesn't negate the ethical weight of our actions in our own reality.
So even if there's a version of me out there
Right.
making every conceivable unethical choice,
Every bad choice you could possibly make.
right,
Yeah.
that doesn't absolve me
Right.
of responsibility for my choices in this universe. It's a comforting thought in a way.
It is.
It preserves a sense of agency
Yeah.
and moral responsibility, even in the face of this
Right.
vast and seemingly amoral expanse of the multiverse.
Exactly. And it really aligns with Dr. Di Bello's kind of overarching philosophy,
Yeah.
which emphasizes the significance of the individual experience within the grand tapestry of the multiverse.
I'm also curious about how Dr. Di Bello's work impacts our understanding of time.
Oh, yeah.
In a multiverse with countless timelines branching off at every moment,
Right.
what does it even mean for time to flow in a linear fashion?
That's a question that Dr. Di Bello acknowledges as one of the most challenging and unresolved aspects of multiverse theory. He explores the idea that our perception of linear time might be an illusion, a consequence of our limited perspective within a single branch.
So instead of this single universal clock ticking away, we have a multitude of clocks.
Yes. At different speeds.
At different speeds or even in different directions.
Potentially.
Across these various branches of the multiverse.
That's one possibility.
Wow.
He also delves into the concept of a multiverse of times,
Okay.
suggesting that time might operate differently in different branches, potentially even flowing backward in some.
It's mind-boggling.
It is.
Does he offer any, concrete solutions
You know,
or resolutions to these questions about time?
he admits that these are really open questions,
Yeah.
ripe for further exploration.
Right.
He sees his work as a starting point, a framework
Okay.
for approaching these complex issues. He doesn't claim to have all the answers, but he offers a new way of thinking about time,
Right.
one that goes beyond our conventional linear model.
It's a reminder that even in the face of such profound concepts,
Yeah,
there's still so much we don't know.
a lot we don't know.
It's a call for continued exploration
Absolutely.
and intellectual humility.
Intellectual humility. I like that.
And that's what makes Dr. Di Bello's work so inspiring.
I think so too.
It's not about dogma
Yeah.
or definitive answers.
It's about opening up new avenues
Yeah.
of inquiry, pushing the boundaries of what we think is possible.
And inviting us to engage with the universe.
The multiverse.
The multiverse, right?
In all its complexity and mystery.
Exactly. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the quantum multiverse with Dr. Fabio Di Bello.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you found it as thought-provoking and intellectually stimulating as we did.
I certainly have.
Until next time, keep questioning,
Keep exploring
keep exploring.
and keep embracing.
Yes, keep embracing the infinite possibilities
The multiverse has revealed.
that the multiverse and Dr. Di Bello's work has revealed to us.